Hello and welcome to the LGBTQ review. We are James and Beth, and every week we look at some LGBTQIA plus content, except this week when we're doing some recommendations. We have in the past done books, TV and film. You can check them out on our channel, and right now we're doing other.
My next recommendation is another stand-up, Sean Doxey, who is a stand-up and writer. They have this great quote on the website, which I was going to read, which is kind of sums up what they do. Bizarre, experimental, alternative comedy shows that usually are around with LGBTQ plus politics and feminist commentary. So, if you're into that, then check them out. They did a great zine, which I've got somewhere, which is Great Gays of the Past, which is like a zine they put together, which is a compilation of A+ historical queers having a good time, and all sales donated to Swarm, emergency fund for UK sex workers hit by coronavirus.
That's great. My next recommendation are two very different podcasts. The first is called Hoovering, and it's about food and people's relationships with food. It's hosted by Jessica Fortescue, and she gets guests on and they eat something nice together and talk about food. It's very good. She has lots of LGBTQIA plus guests. It's great. The next one is called Still Legit, and it looks back at films that people love. They get a guest on and they look back at a film that they love and see if it's still legit. Often they are not. Yeah, it's not like overtly LGBTQIA plus themed, but there are episodes. So I would recommend the Sabrina the Teenage Witch one. That's very good. And Recess, I think, is Sarah Keyworth is on that, and she did the You'll Do podcast. But I like both of those. They're very good to listen to.
Oh, my next recommendation is podcast, which is Dolly Parton's America, which is a really great podcast from last year. Specifically why I'm choosing it for this is because they delve into the song Jolene. There's a whole episode about it, and the queer reading of that, and also some of her other songs that aren't overtly about a gay relationship, but there's just lots going on with Dolly. And also she's like a gay icon. So it's a great series. If you like Dolly Parton or want to learn about just America, it's really good. Someone writes a new verse for Jolene. They get Dolly to hear it. It's nice. I enjoyed that.
It's a great podcast series. It's brilliant. That is my least favourite episode, but it is great. It does feel a bit like a conspiracy theory, that episode.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's possibly not the best episode, but it's an interesting idea for
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Because there's like a lot of articles, and there's obviously there's loads of stuff about Dolly Parton, but kind of presenting that stuff to Dolly Parton is particularly interesting.
She's great, and I really love her more than most things or people, really. She does answer questions a lot like politicians.
For sure. Yeah.
I can understand why Jane Fonda was so frustrated with her in the 70s.
Yeah.
My final podcast recommendation is Films to Be Buried with Brett Goldstein. He gets a guest on and tells them that they're dead. And then there's a series of questions like, what film do you remember seeing first? And which film made you cry the most? Which one do you think is the best film? Which one do you like that nobody else likes? Etc, etc. And it's very good. And he's had lots of LGBTQIA plus guests on, and they've discussed lots of queer films, and it's been great. He just likes a lot of different films for a lot of different reasons, and he's very passionate about them, and it's really nice to hear him talk about them.
My next recommendation is Tom Mayhew. I recommend his stand-up. There's a great show that I saw at Edinburgh last year, Tom Mayhew, which is being commissioned into a 4-part radio show for BBC Radio 4, and that's all about growing up in the 2010s, being working class, having to go on benefits, and that whole system around austerity. He's got a podcast which is, again, based around working class artists, which is called The 18%, which is all about the fact that only 18% of people in the arts consider themselves to be working class. It's mainly working class stuff, which is what we're interested in a lot of the time, and representation for working class people. He openly talks about his same-sex relationships and being bisexual in his shows, but it's not a major thing. If you were looking for content that is LGBTQIA+, it might not be that, but it's coming from a LGBTQIA+ voice, which that and working class is it's hard to come by. So
my next recommendation is 1990s Chris. who's a poet and who you can follow on Instagram at 1990s Chris. He also has a zine out called Workers, I think. I have it, I just can't find it. It's very good. He's a bisexual working class poet. I love his stuff, and his stuff online is very good. I would recommend following him on Instagram. Supported the Sleaford Mods at the 100 Club.
Yeah.
And it was really good.
Yeah.
Lastly, I have 2 music recommendations. The first one is Martha Hill, whose new album came out last time we recorded this video, so is out. Her new album is out. It's very good. And secondly, Joan Armatrading, who I'm sure, or I hope, a lot of people will be annoyed that I'm recommending that because she's been around for much longer than I've been alive. I just feel like people don't know her excellent music, or they don't talk about it enough, and it's so good. She's so good. My favourite songs I would recommend would be Drop the Pilot, The Weakness in Me, that one's really good, Love and Affection, they're all great. So good. I love all of them. She's incredible. This is Joan Armatrading.
Oh, cool.
It it's just, believe me that this is a whole album. Yeah, it's great. So those were our other recommendations, or miscellaneous, I think we said last time, but I can't spell miscellaneous, so that's definitely not going to be the title of the video. If you've got any podcast recommendations, music recommendations, poets, comedians, wrestling television documentaries that you want to, for some reason, put here instead of in TV, then that's fine. Please leave those in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, like the video and subscribe to our channel to get new updates. We are going to be putting out a end of year roundup at the end of the year, and I think at the beginning of January we'll have some fresh recommendations for you to enjoy, I hope. Yeah, we've been James and Beth. This has been the LGBTQ Review. Merry November.